Hello and welcome to another episode of Balls and Brew, the flagship sports podcast of the Morgan Podcast Network. I am your host, Rod Morgan. Joining me, as he does on almost every episode of Balls and Brew, my co-host. He used to own a red Monte Carlo or Chevy Lumina. Chris King, which one was it? Down there in North Carolina.
Lumina.
Chevy Lumina. I used to love that old red Lumina. Do you have fond memories of that car?
Not really.
Something about that car, man. I always loved it. Something about that car. Somebody who had good memories of last week, a winning record, 2-1, to take him back to Mount 500, which can only mean good things for the rest of the year. It's our NFL handicapper, our guy, Josh Williams. Hello.
What's up, Rod? We said fumbling regression was going to hit the Cardinals last week. You had some good regression jokes, and we were right. We're finally right. Carolina whooped them, and regression is still coming to Arizona.
Bless you for bringing that up, because I felt like that possibly was one of my best jokes in all of the different pods we have done, where I said that I saw ruthless aggression or fumble aggression at the Gasworks. I was proud of that one myself. Chris, I was proud of you also, 1 and 2, I guess, right? So you still continue not being 500 and not being winning, so I get to just continue to make fun of you for your props, I guess. So I'm proud of you. Your record is 12 and 13 overall in the year.
Yeah, you're welcome, Rod. I did that just for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, well, let's start the way that we like to start every Balls and Brew. We'll go to Josh Williams first. Josh, your overall takeaway from NFL Week 10 was what?
Man, I don't know. I hate to harp on officiating, but like they got to go to the college method of when the college reviews these targeting hits, that they can actually review them and reverse the calls. I don't know if anybody saw it, but the personal foul, roughing the passer call in the Saints-Titans game was absolutely ridiculous. And it probably cost the Saints a win, which, probably hurts the Colts, the most with the Titans winning, but maybe not. Maybe it hurts some other AFC teams. But these calls, they've got to be – somebody's got to be up in the booth saying, hey, you cannot call this.
So you think it can be almost solvable just by that? If somebody else extra is like, hey,
yes.
Wait a minute, maybe you didn't see that great, we should you think that's just that simple?
Yeah, and they do this in college, but they can review the targeting, and it's more for player safety, but you can do this in the NFL. If it's not egregious, if the guy didn't throw him down, something's got to be done with this. And then, I mean, you can even go with the taunting call with 2 weeks ago with the Bears and the Tony Corrente and the hip check and him throwing the flag up.
That was absolutely horrendous.
Oh, horrendous. And Corrente's one of those where, he's like the Ted Valentine, the college basketball referee who thinks everybody's there to see them. Or Joe West from baseball.
I was going to say Cowboy Joe West is saying, hold my beer.
Yeah, and they think everybody's there to see them, but it's like, come on, man. It's just ridiculous. So the NFL's got to get a hold of that.
Joey Crawford wants a little bit of this conversation as well. Yep. NBA referee. But Chris, when you started watching football, I mean, they were wearing leather helmets with no face masks. I mean, what do you think about all of these, these crazy, just, you touch a quarterback on his shoulders and, you're flagged.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit ridiculous in my eyes. Like you got to protect players first and foremost, but you got to, like William said, you got to be able to review some of these calls and take it back. Be like, no, that wasn't roughing the passer. No, that wasn't taunting. Review these things. We have the technology, we have the money, and we have the know-how. Let's just do it.
The only thing I would say is I want to make sure that we have an ironclad system in place with checks, balances, the above, and we just make the decision that it's just computerized, right? I mean, the way tennis does it, just almost have it be computerized, right? You look at it, somebody says yay, nay, it immediately comes in. We cannot have meeting after meeting after meeting and different dudes putting their head underneath the tent and having their look at it, and then we get the guys in the booth chopping it up 17 different times. We can't have 14 of these a game. So I really want it to be, I'm fine with you guys saying that we have the technology, we can review all of these, but let's make sure we have the process locked down so that it moves quickly, because I do not want longer football games.
Because you don't want to start reviewing every single play instantly, because there'll be a holding on every single play instantly, and that will just ruin the game as well. So there's got to be a happy balance for sure. But like, there's been some egregious calls this year that were definitely wrong, that were definitely upheld or ruled as non-reviewable, which is a little bit ridiculous.
So Williams, is this the competition committee? How soon can these kind of rules get passed? I mean, do you have any idea? I mean, is that even a question you'd have a chance of answering for me? I mean, is that something they can make happen next year?
I mean, I think so. I think Sean Payton was that call was so egregious that Sean Payton wanted it reviewed. Like, he thought that they were going to review it because it was so bad. It's like, all you have to do is, was it helmet to helmet? No. Did he land on him forcibly? No. And was it just an egregious like hit, smack to the helmet? And no, it wasn't. I mean, the guy barely hit his helmet to the front of the jersey. And we saw another one earlier this year where I think it was San Francisco. They called a personal foul on Kyler Murray, and they barely even touched him, and they threw the flag. So I get player safety. I know they're trying to help out the star quarterbacks. I get that, but man, some of these calls are just egregious, and they have to be able to review them.
Yeah, I think that we got to try to find a happy medium there. But Mr. King, let's go back over to you. What was your big takeaway? There was a bit of chaos last week, so I'm interested to hear what you think your takeaway was from Week 10.
My takeaway was that there was some righting of the ship. We've seen a whole lot of crazy upset weeks this week. A couple weeks ago, Week 9 really sticks out. And you saw some teams right the ship. You're starting to see the teams that we thought at the beginning of the year kind of pull away. Kansas City's back in first place. Dallas came back and really showed what they're capable of. Buffalo won big last week. So you saw some of this, what I would call righting of the ship, like a little bit of course correction for the season at large, which bodes well for us and our picks. But I think that was really, there were definitely a couple of upsets last week. Thursday night, and then Monday night was probably a little bit of an upset as well. I thought the Rams were going to pull that out, but past that, I thought you really saw the teams that were supposed to win.
The teams that were supposed to win. You know, it's amazing how as you get later on in an NFL season, that starts to happen more and more. You know, it's like there's a lot of things that can be left to chance, but as you get into the grind of the NFL season, it's all about your program, it's all about your preparation, and it's all about health, basically, right? I mean, William, sometimes it's just as simple as that, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's why coaching comes into effect here later on in the season, even more when there's more data on these opposing teams, and the more they can game plan, skew to the opponent's weaknesses, the more you're going to see some good teams come up to the top. So we're seeing New England make a run right now. So maybe the best coach in the history of the game. So we'll see what's going on here later on.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, let's move into your picks of the week, because I happen to know that a team that I frankly usually have a take on from week to week is involved in your first pick, so let's just go ahead and go there now.
Yeah, so this is an interesting model pick. Then there's two models here. So dogs against the spread this year, 84, 61, and 1. Road dogs are hitting at 63%. So here's the first one. Road dogs of 7 or less are hitting at almost a 75% clip. Okay, so then you go to so then you go to the second model. One's a little bit more complicated, but not that really. Teams that didn't cover the previous week playing against a team that did cover the previous week, those teams are 44, 15, and 1 against the spread. That's 73%. The only team this week that fits both models is your Indianapolis Colts. And I'll give you a third model here. Under Frank Reich on the road as a dog between 3 and 7 points, the Colts are 7, 1, and 2 against the spread. And remember, this is a revenge game from the playoff matchup last year where the Colts covered the number. The Buffalo offense has played the easiest schedule of defenses in the league so far. The Colts are throwing on early downs at an above average rate. That's good. I think you'll see a lot more throws to tight ends in this week's game, a lot like last year, where they tried to drain the clock, run the ball, throw the balls to tight end. What the Colts can cover this game if they don't settle for field goals. They have to get in the end zone because the Colts secondary really doesn't match up well with the Bills passing game. So the Colts can cover this game. They might even possibly be able to win this game if they get in the end zone I think this is going to be a close game. I like the Colts +7.
Chris, you know what? I'm going to be generous here and give you the second bite at the apple. Go ahead.
I think the Colts can cover that. I still very doubtful that the Colts could win outright, but I think they could cover that. Bills did look tough last week. Colts looked good in the first half last week. I think if the Colts can control the clock, hand the ball off to Taylor, throw to these tight ends out in the flats, I think we can keep Buffalo's offense off the field for a longer period of time. That makes it a lower scoring game, probably get under the total at 50. So I see them actually getting the spread. So, yeah.
I think the Colts are going to have to score 35 to beat this Bills team, and I just think that's awfully tough for the Colts to pull off with Carson Wentz making some of the decisions that he makes as the Colts quarterback. And so I continue to say to myself, are you really wanting to go forward with Carson Wentz as your quarterback next year? I don't know. And if you aren't wanting to go forward with Carson Wentz as your quarterback next year, do you really want to spend a first-round draft pick? Again, that is in the back of my head. I can't get it out of my head. I know the Colts are going to give everything they have to win this game. Chris, tend to lean with you that I don't think there's a chance that they are going to win this game. I just think Josh Allen's going to end up being able to make the plays that Buffalo needs to get made. Ultimately, against this Colts defense, they're probably going to be left out there too long. Guys are going to get tired. We're not going to be able to make enough big plays in the passing game, and so it'll just end up being a slog. And so if the Colts lose this game, at just what point do you think about it? It's the only thing in the back of my head. If I don't want Carson Wentz as my quarterback moving forward, why in the world would I keep playing him and spend a first-round pick on him? Mr. Williams, I know you're not with me on this tanking, but I can't get it out of my head.
Did you watch Hard Knocks in season with the Colts?
Did that start up?
Yeah, I watched the first episode today. So
no, I have not watched that yet. I'm gonna have to tune in. I guess it is my Indianapolis Colts, but I'm not excited to see it on screen. But I guess that maybe it'll put a nice shine on it for me, and I'll see it differently.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't much substance to the first episode, a little bit of fluff, but one piece that was evident was that Carson Wentz is their quarterback, man. They went from Luck to Brissett to Rivers and now Wentz. I don't see them going with a fifth different quarterback in 5 years. Wentz is their guy, dude. I hate to tell you, Wentz is their guy for a long time, unless he just totally craps down his pants here in the next couple years. But Wentz is their guy, man.
How long is this contract that he's under that we traded for with?
I'm not even sure. It could be another couple years, maybe.
I mean, I guess if you're telling me we have to ride the contract out with him, fine. But you're telling me we were re-signing this guy? I don't know. I mean, I'm not Chris Ballard, I guess, or Frank Reich, but I don't know, man. I just feel like you could probably do better because certainly the Philadelphia Eagles thought so.
I would say 100% that you're riding the contract out with them and then, go from there. But I would say better than 50-50 chance that you're re-signing him. So.
All right, Chris. You love this kind of conspiracy stuff, this behind-the-scenes machinations. I mean, how much chance do you give my Hail Mary of the Colts just stop playing Carson Wentz because they're over this?
0%. And I can understand where you're coming from because it's frustrating having a quarterback for your team that shows flashes of brilliance but then utter stupidity in the same drive. It's tough, but I think. With Reich as the head coach, he likes Wentz. He's liked Wentz since they were in Philadelphia together. I think you definitely are going to see him right out the contract no matter what. And then if he doesn't continually to improve in this offense, then at contract time, then you have to make a decision at that point.
All right, then I make a vow here. Mr. Williams, you said that you had to give up on the 49ers, and I from now on will not say anything else about Carson Wentz and Carson Wentz's quarterbacking of the Indianapolis Colts, and we will just pick and talk about the Colts overall and however that goes into that week, and we'll let the chips fall where they may because everybody's probably sick of me. It's a drum I've been beating since the beginning of the year, and he frankly doesn't have terrible stats that make my argument look right at this moment right now, but it's the eye test, as people say sometimes when they don't have a great point to make. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, and I think Carson Wentz is kind of maddening at times. Like he can make all the throws. I mean, he can make all the throws that anybody else can make, but then he also makes these boneheaded throws that you're just like, what am I watching here? Am I watching Pee-wee? Like this, like my little kids don't make that throw. So Yeah, that's kind of maddening. So I understand.
All right. Well, I mean, certainly you understand. You're a Bears fan. Oh, I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Bada bing. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Speaking of your Bears, you have an NFC North matchup for us, so you should know a little bit about both of these teams. I'm interested to hear which way you want to go.
Man, and I swore that I wouldn't take this team again, and here I am. I just never learn. I'm taking the Vikings plus 2.5.
Wow.
Versus Green Bay. Look, according to Football Outsiders, there's a stat called estimated wins. And Minnesota, their overall wins right now they're 4-5. Green Bay is 8-2. But in this estimated wins theory that takes in all yardage and strength of schedule, both of these teams are at 6.4. And the total DVOA, Minnesota is in the top 10. Green Bay is not. I could not believe that. Green Bay is not in the top 10. And you got Zadarius Smith is out, Jair Alexander is out, Marcellus Whitney's out for Green Bay. You're getting 3 defensive starters back from Minnesota: Harrison Smith, Anthony Barr, and Patrick Peterson. And this Packers D, like we talked about last week with Arizona, it's got some regression coming to them. They like to play a lot of cover 2 deep shell, but that's actually good for the conservative Zimmer, who just hand it off to Cook the whole time here, be patient, play some play action. And Cook tore them up last year. And the Packers are 30th versus the run. Vikes top 5 in pressure rate on defense. And Rodgers has actually struggled really bad versus pressure this year. His passer rating is below average, surprisingly. The Pack is 9-1 against the spread this year. They can't keep that up. I feel like there's some regression coming. This is a big game for Minnesota. I'll take them at home plus 2.5.
I love it. I'm all down with any time I can get on the Kirk Cousins train. Is an entertaining train to be on. You don't know if all of a sudden it's going to stop and the power's going to cut out and you're not going to be able to get out of the subway car for 45 minutes, or if it's going to be the most lovely trip that you've ever had in your entire life and you're going to be able to get off and go see wonderful things at the museum. You have no idea what's going to happen when you're on the Kirk Cousins train, and I'm all about it. But I do have to say one thing here. You said the Packers were 8-2. I look at the Packers more as 8-1 because that's all that starts with Aaron Rodgers. One of their losses, Aaron Rodgers couldn't play quarterback. Now, that was because of decisions on his own, complete narcissism, all the above. We've talked about that before. But Aaron Rodgers on the field this year, you almost can't argue with.
I know. It's tough. Somehow he just keeps on winning. But like I said, some of these numbers here, they're kind of playing with fire with some of these numbers, and he does a great job at masking them. So Minnesota,
he's a good deodorant. You're definitely right about that. Chris, what do you think about this? Like William said, you're a numbers guy. I mean, what do you think about this Vikings-Packers game?
So, surprisingly, the Vikings have scored more points this year than the Packers have. On the other side, they've also given up a lot more points than the Packers have given up. So I do see this as a little bit of a high-scoring game, and when it's going to be a back-and-forth game, I think anything can happen. And I actually kind of see Minnesota. They're at home.
Yeah, Chris agreed with me. He said Minnesota wins. And this is a team I usually don't like to back, but this is another model here. I'm going Steelers plus 5.5 on Sunday Night Football out in LA against the Chargers. This is a classic rah-rah Tomlin spot here. 37-16-2 against the spread as a dog after week 3. Tomlin is in his career. That's 71%. And get this, Tomlin as a dog without Big Ben is 13-3-2. That's 81% without Big Ben.
Whoa.
I know. We're not sure if Big Ben's going to play or not, but I couldn't believe that.
I'm sorry, real quick. How many games has he coached in his career without Ben?
So 13-3-2, so 18 games.
Wow. That's crazy to think about how many games those guys have been together.
Yeah, and they've had the Chargers number. Two of those wins versus the Chargers without Big Ben, have come against the Chargers. Tomlin's won with a washed-up Michael Vick at the end of his career against the Chargers, and some guy named Duck Hodges, if everybody can remember Duck Hodges from a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So the Chargers can't stop the run. The Steelers want to run it about 30 times a game.
Please give Najee all of the touches, Pittsburgh.
And you know that there's going to be a ton of Steelers fans out in L.A., and I mean this, there's probably going to be 80% Pittsburgh terrible towels out there at SoFi. We saw a couple years ago when the Chargers were playing in that soccer stadium, that thing was filled with Steelers fans. So there's really no home field advantage here. 5.5 is too much. I don't care who the quarterback is, evidently what the numbers say. So give me Tomlin in his rah-rah spot here. We take Tomlin as a dog. We fade Tomlin as a favorite. So give me the Steelers plus 5.5 here on Sunday Night Football.
That is to borrow an old phrase, an idiom that you drop quite often. That you do always handle Tomlin that way, and we have talked about it many times, and he has paid many times. And the Chargers to me are a bit interesting because you were kind of lower on them at the beginning of the year than Chris and I were. Then through the first 4 weeks, you gave Chris and I props for being, hey, you guys might have something with the Chargers, and then ever since then, they've kind of fallen back to being the Chargers you thought they were going to be.
God, I know, and they've even been worse than what I thought they were going to be. And after I told you that, man, Brandon Staley is going to win Coach of the Year, and these guys are going to win the division. And ever since then, it's just been, I kind of talked about it, I think a few pods ago, is that their third down and fourth down succession rate you couldn't sustain it. It was way too high. So I was hoping that their first down and second down play calling would get better. And Joe Lombardi he's still not calling the right plays. He was the OC for the Saints last year, so he's still calling plays like he's got Drew Brees as the quarterback. And it's like, come on, man, you got Justin Herbert who can sling it, man. Start slinging it on first down, and you'll see the Chargers win some more games. But also that Chargers run defense, it has to get better, and all it has to be is a slightly below average. It can't be this horrific dead last against the run because they are getting just thrashed up the middle on these runs. So getting him a negative game script, and that's not good for the play calling either. So yeah, we'll see with the Chargers here. I bet that, like I said, I like the Steelers here in this spot. Normally I would like the Chargers against the Steelers hardly, almost any other time, but in this spot I'll take the Steelers.
Well, I think these are two teams that both really want to win this game. And I know that sounds stupid because, of course, every team wants to win every time they take the field on NFL Sunday. But, like, San Diego really would like to keep pace above the Raiders and try to, maybe be second in that division. The Chiefs seem like they're surging. If you're saying they've got to compete with the Colts, they got to think they're just as good as the Colts, right? And then Pittsburgh, on the other hand, has to see the Browns. They just got completely stomped. Baker Mayfield looks, I don't know if that's a guy you want to sign moving forward. Like we just had the Carson Wentz discussion. I think fans in Cleveland should really start having that discussion because we were awfully high on the Browns. And Mr. Williams, I know we didn't touch on them, but if we don't have Mr. King back, we can take a little time on the Browns here before we get into some Chiefs talk, who's another contender we talked about at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and just to finish up on the Steelers have a ridiculously tough schedule the rest of the way, so they really need this game against the Chargers. But, yeah, the Browns fell flat on their face last week, and I kind of thought that the Patriots' defense would give them problems, and man, they did. The Patriots kept Baker in the pocket, and Stefanski likes to get him outside the pocket. They like to run a lot of boots. They like to go heavy formations.
That's because of his height, frankly, a lot of times, isn't it?
Because of its height, yeah, because he can't see over the line. So I love Baker's toughness. I think he's inconsistent. I mean, he can show up in big games sometimes, but other games he's just not there. And Belichick had the perfect game plan. They were going to blitz every boot and then come off the edge, but they were going to keep him in the pocket the whole time. So they went down and scored in that first quarter, but that's what New England does is they make adjustments off that first quarter, and you saw Cleveland do nothing afterwards. And if you're asking me the question, do you re-sign him or does this guy get 40, 50, 60 million? I don't think I give it to him. I'm sorry. His upside is tapped with what he can do. So
Isn't there sort of like a qualifying offer kind of deal where like they can get him or like a franchise tag or something where they can kind of get him for one more year before they have to lock him in at huge money, kind of the Kirk Cousins before he left Washington?
Yeah, I believe it's transition tag, something like that.
Yeah,
possibly.
Well, I could see doing that, you know what I mean? Because I don't know anything about college football and like what quarterbacks might be coming out. And certainly the Browns aren't going to be able to get into a top 5 pick anyway based on their record right now. So
yeah, and that's the thing. That's what makes it tough between these teams that are like has like the 14th best quarterback and the 23rd best quarterback. You're kind of in no man's land. It's kind of like where Kirk Cousins lives. And
Exactly. I was about to bring him up. We've talked about a few quarterbacks that are sort of no man's land this pod. Jimmy should title this No Man's Land QB pod, right? We're talking about Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, you know what I mean?
If
Roethlisberger got a mention in this podcast.
If they're in the right system and the right play calling, they can succeed. We saw how bad was Baker with Freddie Kitchens. I mean, anybody would be bad with Freddie Soup Kitchens, but Baker was terrible. So I don't want to beat Baker up too bad. He's playing hurt, and I love his toughness. But I think there's a capped upside with him. So and we'll see what Cleveland does. Because they have the talent everywhere else, man. Everywhere else they have the talent.
They certainly do. I mean, they're an awful lot like the Rams in that way, where you look at certain position players and you're like, oh, this guy's really good. This guy's good. You know what I mean? And like it maybe hasn't quite gelled as much as they need it to. But I don't think it's the defense that's their problem. And speaking of defenses, Kansas City's has sort of rounded into form a little bit here, Mr. Williams. We had a big Kansas City discussion a few weeks back. Do you care to soften your stance?
Yeah, they look good. One caveat to that is that all these teams that were playing the cover 2 deep shell against the Kansas City and giving them fits, the Raiders didn't play that defense at all. So I kind of thought that the Raiders would play that defense, but that's what I get for thinking coaches having rational thoughts. But hey, we'll see. We'll see what Dallas does. The problem here with Dallas is that they don't really play that cover 2 shell that much either. So we've seen Trayvon Diggs have an awesome year, but with the interceptions. But he is a gambler.
Yeah, I was gonna say he wants to get all playing. Yeah, he wants to be like primetime. He's not trying to lay back.
Yeah, and he's actually outside the top 100 in coverage grades per PFF. So I think there's going to be some double moves and some shots deep to Tyreek Hill. That was actually one of my props. I have Tyreek Hill over 87.5 yards. That's my one prop.
Good deal. Speaking of props, Mr. King has texted me in his real quick. So why don't we do those real quick? He's got Adrian Peterson over 30.5 rushing yards versus the Texans. He's got the Bengals over 9.5 points in the first quarter versus the Raiders. And he's got in the Dallas Chiefs game, the one we're talking about right now, Dallas will be the first to score, he says. That's a weak prop. Good Lord. He's reaching at this point, isn't he?
Dallas the first to score. Well, maybe he thinks they're going to win the coin toss and go score. I think it's going to be back and forth, kind of a high scoring game. So,
all right,
we'll see.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's start to wrap here since we lost Mr. King. But you and I both have an upset pick coming. I will give the floor to you because you lost last week, and so you go ahead and give your upset pick because, frankly, your upset pick was one I was thinking about taking, so I'm going to my B upset pick. So you give my also other upset pick, but it is officially yours.
Yeah, I had the first loss of the year last week for the upset or outright upset pick of the week. I was only 3-0 going into the game, but, man, the Raiders really didn't do me any favors in the night game. So, yeah, we'll go back here. This is a team I normally don't like to back, but getting some more numbers here in these models. I'll take Seattle to get the outright win at home versus Arizona.
Wait a minute. I want old school viewers who remember the Anonymous Gambler days and then your appearances first coming out of the Anonymous Gambler haze, how much you used to be anti the Seattle team, and just to take in for a second what you just said.
I used to be anti Pete Carroll, and actually I still am anti Pete Carroll. I love Russ. But yeah, plus 115 on MGM. And this is the reason I like them here. Seattle is coming off a horrific game. I mean, Russ clearly wasn't fully healthy yet. But he
rehabbed for 19 hours a day, Mr. Williams. That makes complete sense, doesn't it?
Right. He let everybody know about it too, man.
Oh, that's Russ's way always. But yes, continue. I'm sorry.
He's so corny, but I love him. Russ is 24, 12, and 2 as a dog. That's 67%. He's 6-3 as a home dog. That's 67%. And Russ off a loss is 27, 14, and 4. That's also 67% against the spread. And get this, Russ coming off a multi-game losing streak, 7-1-1 against the spread. So you got
the
Kyler.
guy's just been pretty good for a number of years, right? You don't want to give him a whole lot of credit. The guy's never really in the MVP running, but he's just been real solid and just doesn't lose many games in a row. That's just what that speaks to right there.
Yeah, and then you've got a totally different model here. 41, 20, and 3. That's a number that an underdog that got shut out the previous week when the fave isn't coming off the bye, which Arizona is not. So that's at 67%. So
Do we know who's playing quarterback for the Cardinals, by the way, in this game?
That's another thing. Kyler is still banged up. And what's interesting about this is that they have a bye next week. So if
Don't play Kyler then. I don't play Kyler.
Yeah, if I'm Arizona, I don't play Kyler. But he came out and said that the decision's up to him. We'll see. Yeah, and this Seattle D.
That's going to be a fun game, period. I mean, I love that you got the upset pick on it now, but that's just going to be a fun game. Because as our guy Kevin Clark likes to joke about all the time, Seattle has never played in a normal game.
Yeah. Yeah, and their D was terrible earlier in the year, but they've actually started to come around. Their last 5 games, they've only given up an average of 17.2 points per game. So, and here we go. Russ in his career again. He's never lost 3 straight games. And then if you go back to some stats from Football Outsiders, Seattle's playing at negative 2.2 below their estimated wins. They've got if they're 3-5 right now, they should have 5.2 wins if you break it down by the 10th. So, and Zona is 8-2. They have a full win more than what their estimated wins show per Football Outsiders. So, yeah, I like Seattle here. Get the outright win. You can find that on MGM at plus 115.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to be like the little kid on the playground who's just teasing you. I'm going to bring up your Voldemort, that team which you cannot name. I'm going to the 49ers v Jaguars. The Kyle Shanahan-led boys are going to be feeling mighty full of themselves after trouncing the mighty Rams, who everybody wanted to talk about were a super team because they got Aaron Donald's playmate, Von Miller, and then they got a playmate for Matt Stafford on the offense and OBJ, and oh my goodness, look out for the Rams. Then the Niners, who everybody thought had already given up, trounce them. Well, guess what? Now they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who sort of, to me, kind of looked like they were finding a few things in the second half of that Colts game. I know Urban Meyer's a bit of a joke, but that team seems like they're trying to win in spite of him. Look out for the Jaguars getting 6.5, beating the Niners outright, my upset pick for the weekend. Mr. Williams, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to let you talk about this based on our rule, but I guess I'll allow it here quickly.
How dare you? How dare you talk about that team out in Santa Clara? Man, was that a beautiful game plan or what against the Rams? That's the Niner team I thought I was going to see all year. Just beautiful. George Kittle is an absolute monster. Debo,
I'd say that was a huge deal for them, no?
Yeah, Debo is a monster with his ball in his hands afterwards. And what they just exposed the Rams D-line. I mean, they just kept on running the same play where they would have Kittle block in front of the running back in motion, and the pre-snap motion was beautiful. That's a beautiful sight, man. That play calling there, you gotta love it.
So then you think there's no chance for the letdown? You think I'm nutty for thinking Jacksonville's going to beat them, right?
No, I think there's actually a pretty good chance that San Fran does have a letdown. You're talking about cross-country travel on short rest off an emotional division win at home, where you've been 1-11 your last 12 home games. So, and you're right, Jacksonville starting to show life, more so on the defensive end. They're starting to play hard.
Yeah, they got some dudes who can really get after it.
Yeah, the other Josh Allen is a total freak.
That guy is, man.
And, you're actually starting to see them play tough. I actually think this is a close game. So I'm hoping that that team out west can get the W because I still have high hopes for them. But no, I think this is going to be a close game.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. King and I, we're going to chop it up NBA style for a couple of minutes, but, the internet is spotty. He's blaming it on me here in the dungeons of Mishawaka. Mr. Williams, though, is in South Bend, which is close to me, and he's still here with us, so I'm going to blame it on the swamps of North Carolina. Again, something to do with tobacco. Who knows? Tune in for some, I guess we're doing a special thing next week, right, Mr. Williams? We're going to do just the Thanksgiving games, and then we're going to give the episode to the people on Wednesday, and then maybe we're going to do some bold predictions for the rest of the year. Isn't that what we talked about?
Yeah, and I'll try and get it as much as possible. But I think we're going to focus a little bit more on the Thanksgiving Day games, and there's a couple good ones along with Chicago and Detroit.
Heyo. Well, we're also going to be joined by our guy Jimmy Jamriska. You've heard him sub in for me a couple of times. So if we're going to do some rest of the season bold predictions, and plus, I think we're going to talk a little bit of turkey. We're going to talk yay, nay. What do you want to do to your turkey? Should we just get rid of turkey? Any turkey takes that all of these guys have, you will get them next week in the very special Balls and Brew Thanksgiving football episode. Until then, Josh, you're going to have to sub in for Chris. What's the final word?
Sweet potatoes for the win. Goodbye, Internet.